So, as we mentioned, we're having the lighting Motzei Zois Chanukah in regard to the instruction of the Rebbe to light Motzei Zois Chanukah without a blessing at public gatherings and classes, wherever Jews might be getting together, and therefore we're having our class together with the lighting of the menorah as we see lit, and we'll get to the nigunim. Anei salalo shono madlikim, Anei salalo shono madlikim, Anisim ve'ala niflois, ve'ala teshuos, ve'ala niflois, she'osi sola v'seinu, she'osi sola v'seinu, bayomim ohem, bayomim ohem, bayomim בזמן הזה, מויסו ישועוסי, לכל נוער לשבח, תיקון בייס תפילוסי, ושם תודה נזבח, ואיבחים מטבח, מצרם נבח, שיר מזמר חנוכת המזבח, אז אגמור בשיר מזמור חנוכת המזבח, לידי סולל, לידי סולל, לשמך הגודל, לידי סולל, לידי סולל, Shimcha HaGodel, Al Nisecha v'Al Nifleisecha, Al Yeshuasecha, Al Nisecha v'Al Nifleisecha, Al Yeshuasecha, Chiyadeneinu Mereinu B'Rabbeinu, HaMelech Ha'Moshiach le'olam lo'ed, Chiyadeneinu Mereinu B'Rabbeinu, Melech Ha'Moshiach le'olam lo'ed, Moshiach, Moshiach, Ayararara, Abiyu Melech Ha'Moshiach, ואף על פי שישמח עם כוזח חכלה בכל יום שיבוא, ואף על פי שישמח עם כוזח חכלה בכל יום שיבוא, משיח, שיבוא No Yishakeach, a freilichen Motzei Zois Chanukah to everyone, and we'll get to the story now. Second, yeah, that's better. Wonderful. Our story, together with a joke, especially in these days where we need a little humor in order to give us the inspiration of the miracles of Chanukah, and how no enemy that exists in the entire creation can overpower or can prevent the Jewish nation from studying Torah, from observing Hashem's mitzvahs of the Torah, and from bringing the revelation of the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach, although it does seem at many times very dark and very, very challenging. So we'll start with the joke. It's told about Netanyahu and the arch terrorist from Iran, the leader of Iran, Khomeini, that they decided to speak together, and one invited the other to their country. So Khomeini invited Netanyahu. He sat him down in this big dark room, and he sat down in front of 3 buttons. And he said, okay, I prepared for you a surprise. You press the 3 buttons and you'll receive the surprise. He presses the first button, and all of a sudden a gush of water sprays out and gets him all wet. And then he says, wait, that wasn't nice. He says, wait, we have more surprises for you. So he pressed the second button. He presses the second button, and all of a sudden a boxing glove jumps up and gives him a punch in the head. He says, hey, I don't know. You invited me to speak, or you invited me to harass me? So he says, wait. We have still a third button. Press the third button. He presses the third button, and all of a sudden he feels an electric current in his chair. And it was like very, very uncomfortable. He says, hey, stop it. And after a moment, the electric current stopped. And he was very embarrassed. But that was the Khomeini's surprise. So Netanyahu says, well, obviously we invite you to Israel, and we'll be able to reciprocate. So Khomeini comes to Israel, and he sat down in a pitch dark room, and he has also a table with 3 buttons in front of him. And Netanyahu smiles and says, we also prepared for you a surprise. So Khomeini says, what am I supposed to do? He says, no, you don't remember? You pressed the first button. Khomeini presses the first button, and he's like shaking. But what? Nothing happens. Okay, so he's laughing. He says, you Israelis, you don't know how to do things right. So Netanyahu says, wait, we have another surprise. Press the second button. He presses the second button, and he's waiting for some type of a atrocity to happen to him. Nothing occurs. Nothing happens. He's laughing. He says, you Israelis, you're totally out of whack. You don't even know how to treat your guests the way we treat our guests, in the horrible way. So Netanyahu smiles and he says, wait, you have a third button. Oh, he's very cautious, Khomeini. He goes to the third button shaking, and Netanyahu says, press it. So he presses the third button, and nothing happens. It's all quiet. He says, I don't understand. Nah, you Israelis are the laughing stock of the entire world. Wait till I get back to Tehran, and I'll tell all my commanders and all my friends about my experience here in Israel. So Netanyahu says, where? Tehran? I don't know what you're talking about. And a big screen lights up, and it shows that the entire city of Tehran was destroyed and abolished. Who destroyed it? Khomeini himself, when he pressed the 3 buttons. Anyway, that's one joke in order to go and to bring us the simcha of Zeis Chanukah and the abolishment of all the enemies of the Jewish nation, those that we see, those that we don't see. And we are now going to tell the story. Our story starts off in the United States, in Florida, in Bal Harbor. Bal Harbor, for those that come from Florida, I'm sure those that are with us tonight know what we're talking about. It's a very well-to-do area in Florida, and amongst all the big wealthy non-Jewish population there are some very big wealthy Jewish congregations. And a Rabbi Lipsker, alav hasholom, a blessed memory, who was the rabbi of the shul, he gathered everyone together in the year that we're talking about in order to fulfill the Rebbe's request to have public menorah lightings outside in public places, in order that it'll get the greatest of publicity, so that people will be able to see the menorah lit. And he went and he gathered together many people. A very high menorah. We're talking about almost as tall as the menorah on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan, which is something like 31 or 32 feet high. And he has a few hundred people there, and they go and they light the menorah. They need, it's such a high menorah. You need a cherry picker to get up there, and they're lighting the menorah, and all the lights of the menorah are lit, and they sing Neir Salalu, Maus Sur, but Rabbi Lipsker sees that the hundreds of people that he invited, their faces are gloomy. What is gloomy about lighting the menorah? It's a holiday, we celebrate. Just to give us a little background, they lit the menorah. The menorah was lit opposite the major central mall shopping center of Bal Harbor. Now, to say the least, there were no lights that were missing over there. But unfortunately, the lights were not menorah lights. They were lights of the colors of red, green, white, the Goyish holiday that is celebrated. If that wasn't enough, that all the shops of the mall were all lit up with these unbelievable, lights, shining, going on and off, on and off. There was an humongous tree, a kratzmach tree outside, and they didn't spare themselves the halachic barrier of not having it more than 31, 32 feet. This tree was much higher than 31 feet. And it was all full of ornaments and full of light and shining. The people that were next to the menorah felt that they were literally, what's it called? Out illuminated by all the other lights that were present. Rabbi Lipsker started to speak after the singing, and he says, we have to recall that the exclusiveness of the menorah lights is not like any other light that we might experience today or throughout history. These lights of the menorah represent the fact that the Jewish nation is an eternal light. The Jewish nation is an eternal nation. And therefore we see that for over 2,000 years, the lights of the menorah have been lit. And any other nation that steps up in order to go and to remove the lights of the menorah, whether it was the Greek Empire or the Roman Empire or any other empire that came later on, no one was able to succeed to remove the lights of the menorah, because the lights of the menorah, even after Mashiach, the Talmud tells us, the lights of the menorah are the lights that remain lit. And so the rabbi was speaking. People were kind of like comforted, consoled, but it really didn't do the trick until immediately after the Rabbi Lipsker finished speaking, there was a power outage all over Bal Harbor, and all the lights, the electric lights, went out. There were no lights in the mall, no lights on the tree, no lights anywhere, excepting the lights of the Chanukah menorah that were just lit. Those lights proved themselves to be the eternal lights. They don't need any electric power. This is the light that comes from the spiritual source, not from the material source. And this is what we should bear in mind when we are up against these atrocities, like the October 7th, like what occurred in Sydney, Australia. This Hanukkah, Hashem should watch over us, and we should not have any more need to go and to have self-sacrifice, and not by at least not in a manner of martyrs, kadeshim, that are taken away from us. There are 12 people that are still, as to my knowledge, still in the hospital, suffering their injuries and healing. They should be healed immediately. But the Eibishter should help. Hashem should help. The main thing is that we should have the lighting of the golden menorah in the third and the eternal Beis Hamikdash, and it should be with the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach, the revelation of the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach, Teichef umiyad, immediately now. Yechi Adonenu, Moreinu, V'Rabbeinu, Hamelech Ha'Moshiach Chai V'Kayom Le'olam Voed. Amen.